It's a road trip. We're currently in Longuevaux, which is by a place called Autopilot. It's the most beautiful part of France. I can highly recommend coming here if you've not been here. I'll put a link to exactly where we are in the description. And we'll be travelling from here all the way back home to Stamford, which is just north of Peterborough. So 700 miles driving in one day, and it's the furthest I've ever driven in a day. On the way here we stopped overnight somewhere. The car's fully loaded with 4 people and we're at capacity with luggage. I want to get home swiftly but also safely. We're not in a huge rush. It's not a race against the clock, and we want to not be stressed about the journey. But it is 700 miles in an EV, and although this is a Tesla Model 3 long range, it's going to require several stops. And I want to show you how much it costs in a Tesla Model 3 long range to do that journey, as well as how much time we spend charging. And I suspect the charging, and I've done long journeys in an EV before, and normally the first and second stop are okay, but the third one is just a complete chore, and I think we might need certainly 3, maybe 4 for this trip. First of all, let me show you what I've been doing for charging while we're here in rural France. I've been surprised at how many chargers there are locally, and I've not used any of them because I haven't had to. I'll show you why in a moment, but they seem to be 11 kilowatt AC chargers. So probably at about 40-45 miles of range an hour to a Tesla Model 3. I've been charging at the villa here. Let me show you the setup. So this is a pretty simple setup. It's what I used initially for my Tesla Model S. I've got these cables from a company called, where is it? Xavier, and I'll link to those as well. This is a long extension lead and it's got a French plug on the end. If I'm in the UK, then I just use this. So this is my UK one. And it's basically a safe way to sort of granny charge, and you can just switch the ends over depending on where you are in the world. And then it goes out the window. The weather here has been really good, but today is terrible. Let's get around here. Whoa. So it comes out the window, down here, and then under here it joins. I've got the, I've just got it in a dry box just to keep everything nice and tidy. Now, if you're criticising my setup, it was originally from my Model S, so I've just to kind of adapt it, and then it just comes into there like that. So I can recommend something like that. So I've got 25 metres of really safe cabling for granny charging when I'm out and about. I don't think it would be wise to do it for a travel adapter, although I'm sure some people do. But it just keeps it nice and simple and nice and safe. And what that means is that while I'm here, I can charge the car. Let's try and get my finger out so the screen looks better. I can charge a car at 2 kilowatts an hour, which doesn't seem very lot, does it? But it adds about 8 miles an hour of range to the car, which sounds terrible. But because we're on holiday, this car's kind of sat around for like 12 to 16 hours a day. So it's been plenty. When we arrived, we were here with about 10%, and over the course of a couple of days, a bit of driving, a bit of charging, we were up to 90%. It's been super easy. I mean, if I'm in the UK, I try and pick places that have at least got an outside socket or a charger. But granny charging, if your car is sitting still for half the day, works really well. And by far one of the best things about owning a Tesla is the way it plans your route for you. So we're down here, as I said, we're kind of in south-ish West France, and we need to get to, well, above Birmingham, so above the kind of the east of England. And it's showing me where I'm going to stop. Now, that isn't quite the route we took coming down, so that route may change when we set off tomorrow. But it all looks fairly straightforward, and I'll see you in the morning. Well, it's 8:30 on the day of set-off. Our friends, experienced travellers, they left at 6 a.m. while we slept in. I think this may mean that we're doing the last part of the journey in the dark, but who knows? Let's have a look. The car's fully charged, there or thereabouts, 99%, and let's see how easy it is to get home. It's just calculating the journey. Here we are, 10 minutes at Poitiers, and then we're going to be at Le Mans for an amount of time, Rouen, which I want to try and avoid actually, and then Dartford. Let's try and see that again. So I would rather try and skip Rouen, which I'm going to try and do, but just because Rouen's hard to get to. And then rather than charge at Dartford, I think we may have a natural break at Calais while we're in the Flexi Plus lounge and put some charge in there. Right, see you at the first stop. So we're just about to hit our first toll road. We've got about an hour before our first stop. We've been going for about 3 hours. Here's a toll in front. Now, we've got one of these tags, which are really helpful.
In 300 meters,
And it means you can just drive straight through. If you look ahead, they've got the 30 mile an hour thing. So it should be able to hit this at 30 kilometers an hour, which should be quicker to go straight through. Let's see. Look at that. Perfect. Well, we've just arrived at our first stop, which is Rouen. It's a nice SuperCharger facility here, very nice looking hotel. Let's look at the stats and we'll see how long we're going to be here. Nice, easy journey, but I think 3 hours is like the most I want to drive without a break. We're at 27% battery, so the car would do about 4 hours without needing to stop, which is further than I can go. I would want to go safely, and definitely further than my bladder can go. So the stats for this journey, we've travelled 260 kilometres. I'll put miles on the screen as well. We've used 50 kilowatt hours of battery, and efficiency is 191 watt hours per kilometre, which I'll also show in miles. Charge is ramping up nicely. We're getting 144.3 kilowatts. 14 minutes before we continue our trip. Hey, look at this for a hotel attached to a SuperCharger. It's absolutely gorgeous. We'll be here for about 40 minutes, another half an hour I think. So we'll have a coffee and enjoy this place. No time has passed for you, but it's 300 kilometers later and we've just arrived at Rouen. We've arrived with 11% charge and the car's saying battery low, so I'm going to plug it in. So what the car was suggesting is that we charge here in Maidstone, but because we're going to have our next break at the Flexi Plus lounge, we're going to charge there. Between Tours and Rouen, it was just those 130 kilometre an hour roads, so about 81 miles an hour. It's just been fantastic. Some parts there were just no cars as well, just my car. The car has been absolutely amazing. Now, because these toll roads are so smooth, it's just like being on a train. The Autopilot system is much better than it is at home in the UK as well. I don't know why, but it's just been a pleasure to be in. There's other charging stalls here. You've got a Model 3 there. Got a Model X. I see less and less of those, and I think that's a Model S about turning around. It was actually a Model 3. There's the X with its doors, look. They still look great. After all this time, they still make me smile. Well, we've arrived at Calais. We've been travelling for about 9 hours. It was about an hour to get through passport control. It was a bit of a chore, but we're here and we're charging at the Flexi Plus lounge. We arrived with 18%. It's going up nicely. Let's just check our trip. So that's 782 kilometres, 157 kilowatt hours of battery, and 201 watt hours per kilometre. All the way here there was 2 SuperChargers free, and as you can see they were like, was one, as we get to passport control, there was like 1 free, and I'm like, no, please let that be the only Tesla coming through here. Right, it's a little bit cold, I'm going to get a sandwich and we'll sit down and then get on the train. Well, unlike the journey out, it's absolutely chaos in here. It turns out middle-class people with the munchies are almost fighting each other for the ham hock sandwiches. We're back. I was too tired to film last night, so it's now the next day. So 646 miles, just over 1,000 kilometers in a day in this, the Tesla Model 3 long range, and it was rock solid. The car performed amazingly well. On the French toll roads, it was almost as good as the Tesla Model S I took to France last year. Not quite the mile eater that a Tesla Model S is, but much more usable day to day, I would say, due to it's a much better size for UK roads. In the UK, you can feel the bumps a little bit more. You know, like when you go on the Channel Tunnel, if you've never noticed this, you might want to skip this part. But when you're on the French side, you can barely tell you're moving. And then when you get to the British side of the tunnel, you kind of get the feeling that you wish you'd put on your sports bra. It's a bit like that. It is stiff on the potholes of Great British roads. This car is on the standard wheels, which really helps with the comfort. And being the long range model, it can go a lot further than we can without stopping. When it came to charging stops, we had 3 40-minute stops. And that worked out well for the kind of the length of journey and the time we were on the road. I think 3 40-minute stops was actually quite sensible. If we were in an ICE car, I suspect we would have had 3 20-minute stops though. So about an hour longer because of the time it took to charge, I would estimate. And there's also the thing with if you're going to a Tesla SuperCharger that you don't know, it can sometimes take kind of 5 minutes to find it. So I think optimistically we added 60 minutes to our journey than we would have done if we'd have taken those breaks I talked about. Realistically, maybe sort of 1 hour 20 more than it would have taken us in an ICE car. And a tip if you're new to this is when you're on a long journey in an EV, just time your charging stops with your meal breaks and then you won't really notice them as much. The cost of the journey, I'm talking fuel, not toll roads and crossings, etc. The cost of the journey was £72 worth of electricity, which initially, when I had my Model S, it had free supercharging, but this hasn't. And £72 hurt me a bit because £72 home charging is well over 3,000 miles of driving, and we did 650. However, we did leave the holiday home fully charged, so that made a difference. So the first kind of tank of electricity was free to us, and then beyond that we spent £72 on supercharging and arrived back with 9%. So about right. I don't think we could have saved any money on that. Compared to the 2 people we were travelling with, I didn't show you any footage of those because they left about 2-3 hours earlier than we did on the way home. One driver was in a 2-litre 4-cylinder petrol Volkswagen T-Roc. It's like a higher, like a 4x4 Golf sort of, and he spent £120 on fuel, Dino juice, for the journey home. And then our other friend, he said his fuel cost, he was in an Audi Q8. So it's like a lovely car. But it was like, I think it's a 3-litre V6 petrol, maybe. It's a 3-litre petrol. And he spent £180 on fuel. So 120 in a sensible car, 180 in a ridiculous car, but it was lovely. Compared to our 72, we did make quite a big saving on fuel. One thing about the Model 3 which I love is its efficiency. So considering what we got 3.23 miles per kilowatt hour, which doesn't sound like a lot by Tesla Model 3 standards. However, we were driving between 6 and 16 degrees Celsius. We were 4 up, so the family now, we're pretty much 4 adults in weight, and there wasn't an inch of luggage space left. And on the French toll roads, the speed limit is 130 kilometers an hour, which is 81 miles per hour. And we were keeping to the speed limits for most of the time. This is why I got kicked out of MI6. So we were at the speed limits in France and in the UK. I can't do this. When you take that into consideration, I'm still laughing. I've had a 5-minute break. When you take that into consideration, I would expect like normal driving, I'll be kind of 4 miles per kilowatt hour. But yeah, 3.23 in those conditions, excellent. So after 30,000, closing on probably 35,000 miles now of EV driving, I do feel confident as an EV driver. But there's been 2 experiences lately that have lifted that confidence even more. The first was hitting the 0 miles club. I can't recommend doing it, but it is exhilarating. In an ID3 I had recently. And then the other was, well, 650 miles, 1,000 kilometers in this Tesla Model 3 in one day. I was confident before, I'm even more confident now, and I do, I'm not like a Tesla fanboy. I do really like Teslas, and I like EVs. I love our e-Golf as well, but I really think they're brilliant. I really enjoy EVs. For a long road trip, yes, you will spend more time charging. You can't get round that, but they're just very, very good. Then finally, you've got Tesla Autopilot. So I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with Tesla Autopilot. When I first got my Model S, there was a thing called phantom braking, where you'd be driving along happily at 70 miles an hour, the car's doing all the work, all of a sudden it would just do an emergency stop. Never popular with me, the people who are in the car with me, or any other driver around me. Yeah, they hated it. But Tesla seems to have got on top of that now, and especially in France on the toll roads and on motorways here in the UK, it just takes so much pressure out of driving. The adaptive cruise control is just brilliant. If you get somebody right up your backside, it's not intimidated. It just sits there. The lane keep assist, especially on a long journey, just takes away those little micro decisions you have to make constantly when you're driving, and you can just have more of an overview of what's going on around you. And it's much less tiring to drive a car with adaptive cruise control and lane assist, proper lane assist, than it is to drive one without. This car has the basic autopilot, which if you're in the UK, my previous Tesla had enhanced autopilot. I mean, I would say save your money. The autopilot that comes with the car in the UK is excellent. You don't really need any more. The only time I would sort of consider buying more is because I keep my cars probably 2 to 3 years. If I was going to keep this for 10 years, then full self-driving might be an investment. But until Tesla make it so you can take it from every Tesla you own, which they probably won't, I'm not going to buy it. Well, that's it. If you're still here, thanks for watching. I've really enjoyed making this video. It's been a long time since I made a road trip. And until next time, see you soon.